Hi, creative friends. This is Shreya, and thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about doing today's video. It's going to be about a flip through of my art journal right here, and it's also a flip through of my art journal article that was published and the inspiration behind it. So let me move this art journal off to the side for now. And this is Art Journaling Magazine. It's published by Stampington and Company. And this is the July-August of 2021, Volume 13, Issue 3. And not only was my art journal and article published, but my art was on the cover of the magazine. I was so humbled and honored and just downright giddy with excitement. Words cannot even express my joy. So I'm going to open up to my article here. And I titled my article, Stand in Your Danger. Now, my art journal, as well as my article that I wrote, was inspired by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with her work. So I first came across this book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, when I was about 18 or 19. It was required reading in one of my classes. I think it was a women's studies class. And just so you know the story behind Dr. Estes, she started late in life. She raised her children on her own, and she went into her doctoral program later on in life. So she submitted the manuscript to this book 42 times, and it was rejected 41 times. And then on the 42nd time, I do believe it took her that many times, somebody decided, agreed to publish her book. And then it was on the New York Times bestselling list for 2 years. And, you know, this is a Bible for many, many women around the world and required reading in a lot of university classes. And this is an absolute classic. This book has saved my life over and over and over and over again. I absolutely have relied on this as a lifeline many times during my life. And every single time I read her work or listen to her audiobooks, I get a whole new level of understanding. So she also has a lot of audiobooks, and I own every single one of them, and they are a bit pricey, but they're totally well worth it to me. So this one is called In the House of the Riddle Mother, the most common archetypal motifs in women's dreams. This one is called Mother Night, Myths, Stories, and Teachings for Learning to See in the Dark. Now, this is a series of myths and stories of the wise woman archetype. This one is called The Dangerous Old Woman. This one is called The Power of the Crone. And this one is called The Late Bloomer. And within each of these audiobooks, there are about 9 or 10 CDs. And she talks a lot about Jungian psychology, about dreams, archetypes, fairy tales, about the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind. It's a lot of just brilliant, amazing stuff. Her work is an inspiration not only for my art, but for my life. So I'm sorry for this long, rambling segue into my work, but this Stand in Your Danger, I will try to explain it as best as I can, the way I interpret what she means by it. So basically, she talks about women who are, say, artists, and that's an umbrella, because I mean it includes people who are, say, writers or actors. um, you, if you make pottery, or I mean there's just a whole bunch of things that come under the realm of artist. But she talks about how we have one world in each world. So one world is the practical day-to-day living world. So, maybe we have children and we have relationships that we have to tend to, and we have jobs, and we have the everyday stuff of practical life. And then you have the other world, which is the world of creating and dreaming, and the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, etc. And so you have one foot in each world, and between those two worlds there is an edge. And generally, as artists, we live in that edge. And Standing in your danger means protecting that edge. It means protecting your inner life. And within this framework, we are now free to own our gifts and step into our power without negation or apology. And her work is so rich. I mean, I cannot, um, I can't simplify it in a few sentences. But if you ever get a chance to listen to her audiobooks, generally while I'm painting, I listen to her audiobooks so much so that I can probably recite parts of it because I've memorized it just from listening to it so much. Her work is truly an inspiration to me. So I would like to just read something I wrote that is directly a quote of what Dr. Estes has said. She says, "The gift of creative life is to nourish ourselves and that of others." And the dangerous old woman is dangerous because she won't stop. She continues speaking out, being herself, writing, painting, creating, and recreating herself as many times as needed. She's unwilling to sever parts of herself to fit in. Her self worth is non negotiable. She does not try to be anything other than herself. And in this process, she is transformed. So there's so much to unpack in those few sentences. I could probably make 20 art journals just on those sentences alone. But this is how I work. I take seeds of something, that I have heard or read, and if it speaks to me directly, to my soul, to my heart, to my life, I will write about it. I will sleep on it, dream on it. And I plant those seeds and I allow them the space and the time to grow. And then when it's ready to be brought into this world, then I will bring it into my art journals or my art. So I wanted to read a a part of my article here about what art journals mean to me, and it holds true even today. So I write, art journals are uniquely extraordinary works of art, largely because of the creative freedom they inspire. Journals are solely for the artist's viewing and generally not for sale. Therefore, you can fashion them any way you want. My approach is to create soul biographies, inner maps of an ever changing landscape. My art journals are sacred spaces, altars where I can offer my stories, and in doing so, mend some of the broken pieces. For me, it's bearing witness to my journey. It's soul medicine. And that's exactly how I view my art journals. So let me do a flip through of this art journal right here. And it is a rough and tumble art journal. It's falling apart. I have to hot glue if you can see that, I have to hot glue the cover. It's coming apart. So I write over here, soul work is life work. And this is a piece of collage in Tamil, which is my mother tongue. Now, the only language I speak is English. I have lost my mother tongue forever. And by me incorporating pieces of collage in my mother tongue, it's a way of me reclaiming a part of myself that has been lost forever. Now, a lot of the pages in this art journal have embellishments on them and three-dimensional objects that I have hot glued onto the page. And this art journal isn't pretty or picture perfect. It's raw and real and authentic. And sometimes it's bitter and ugly and uncomfortable. There are parts of it that have pieces of beauty in it. And I worked in it in different ways. So sometimes I work on it in this way, and I work on it a lot lengthwise as well. And I'm just going to move this here so all of it can show. And this ended up being the cover. And I'll bring it up closer here. And I have a lot of embellishments, as I mentioned. So I just wanted to share that inspiration is everywhere. It's in our lives, it's in our stories, it's in our hearts, it's in the paths that only we have traveled, it's in books and places that we've visited, it's in people that we've known, people we have been, it's in poetry and art, and it's in the most unexpected places. Inspiration is everywhere. So I hope that this has inspired you, and when you go to your art journals or your art, you can take a little bit of this inspiration with you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.